We are now on the record. This begins media number 1 in the deposition of Ellen Pollack in the matter of Sterling Green Community Improvement Association versus Thomas Olson in the District Court, Harris County, Texas, 55th Judicial District. Today is January 6, 2021, and the time is 12:25 p.m. This deposition is being taken remotely at the request of defendant. The videographer is James Taylor, and the court reporter is Stephanie Harper of Magna Legal Services. Will counsel and all parties present state their appearances and whom they represent?
Bill Chesney, Chesney. I represent the plaintiff in this case and the deponent, Ms. Pollack, as a board member.
Peter Zavodnik, I represent the defendant, Thomas Olson.
Okay, will the court reporter please swear in the witness?
Ma'am, can I get you to raise your right hand, please? You solemnly swear that you are Ellen Pollack and that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Let the record reflect this is the deposition of Ellen Pollack taken in the matter of Sterling Green versus Olson. Cause number 2018-51603, 55th Judicial District, Harris County, Texas. Ms. Pollack, my name is Peter Zavodnik. I'm one of the attorneys for Mr. Olson. I'm going to be asking you a series of questions about the allegations that have been leveled by Sterling Green against Mr. Olson in this lawsuit. And if at any time you do not understand a question, please let me know and I'll rephrase it. If I ask you a question and you answer it, I'll assume you understood the question. Do you understand that?
Yes.
It's also important that you answer questions aloud and verbally rather than nodding your head or using your hands, because it's hard for the court reporter to take down your thoughts if you do not speak them loud. It's also important that you let me finish asking the question before you answer it, because it's hard for the court reporter to take down our statements if we're speaking at the same time. And finally, if you need to take a break at any time, please let me know and we will be happy to accommodate you. But I ask that you do not ask to take a break while a question is pending. In other words, if you could please answer the question and then take your break. Can you tell me your full name, please?
Ellen Pollack.
And do you live within the Sterling Green community?
Yes.
And are you employed?
No.
And when was the last time you were employed?
20 years ago.
What's your highest level of education?
High school.
Do you have any training in finance or accounting?
Training, yes.
Can you tell me about that?
I worked at the church for the past 12 years.
And what did you do for the church that involved finance or accounting?
Money, counting money, taking it to the bank, etc.
And are you an accountant?
No.
Have you ever been convicted of a felony or a crime involving moral turpitude?
No.
Have you ever served in the military?
No.
What is Sterling Green Community Improvement Association?
It's Sterling Green represents home that should be kept up according to deed restrictions and better family life.
Are you a member of Sterling Green Community Improvement Association?
Yes.
The Sterling Green Community Improvement Association, a homeowners association?
Yes.
How long have you been a member of Sterling Green?
27 years.
How many members does Sterling Green have approximately?
I didn't hear that question.
How many members does Sterling Green Community Improvement Association have approximately?
Approximately 2,200.
Are you currently a member of the Sterling Green Board of Directors?
Yes.
How long have you been a member of the board?
What, 2 years?
So does that mean you've been a member since March of 2019?
Yeah.
Are you currently an officer of Sterling Green?
Yes.
What position do you hold?
Secretary.
What are your duties as secretary?
Having meetings and writing out exactly what goes on in the meetings. Having the minutes.
Did you have any role with the Sterling Green Board of Directors during the period of March 1, 2018 to July 31, 2018?
Did I have a what?
Role, any role?
From when?
March of 1, 2018 through July 31, 2018.
Yes.
What was that role?
Well, it wasn't until later. I was put on as treasurer.
My understanding is you did not begin serving on the board as a member of the board of directors until March of 2019. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So would I be correct that prior to March 2019, and specifically during the period between March 1 of 18 and July 31 of 18, you did not have any role with the board of directors?
No, I did not.
You know Tom Olson?
Yes.
How do you know him?
He was on the board.
Did you ever serve on the board with Mr. Olson?
Yes.
When?
August of 2019. Yes, it was.
Mr. Olson is no longer a member of the board, correct?
Correct.
When did his membership on the board of directors end?
When he got off. I don't remember.
Was it at some point in 2019?
Yes.
How did it end?
What?
How did his stint on the board of directors end? How did his directorship end?
Us voting.
The board voted to remove him?
Yes, and then he decided to remove himself.
When did the board vote to remove him?
I don't remember the date.
You remember the month?
August 2019, I guess.
And when you say Mr. Olson decided to remove himself, how did he remove himself?
Well, he was, he kind of, July, he gave us a paper saying that if we gave him $18,634, excuse me, $84.22, he would get, he more than likely get off the board. And that included stuff that he had on there, like things that he bought from Amazon, Segway battery, which was $1,268, postage, paper, a printer, etc.
Are you reading from a document?
Yes, yes, it's one he sent, he gave each one of us.
Could you hold up that document so we can see it? Can you hold up the first page of the document? Can you provide that document to Mr. Chesney so he can provide it to us?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Who is Sharon Provost?
She's the manager, office manager.
And before I move on, did the board accept Mr. Olson's offer to remove himself if the board gave him money?
No,
And what are Miss Provost's job duties as the office manager?
she's the office manager. She oversees maintenance and anything that has to do with the deed restrictions as far as enforcing a lot of different things in the office.
Has she been the office manager as long as you've been on the board of directors?
Yes,
Have you asked her for documents while you've been on the board of directors?
asked her for documents.
Yes.
I don't know. Don't remember.
In its lawsuit against Mr. Olson, Sterling Green has indicated that each member of the board of directors has knowledge of Olson's misconduct, wrongful taking of association monies, and plaintiff's claims against Olson for damages caused by Olson. My question is there misconduct of Olson of which you have knowledge?
Oh, shoot, yes.
Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, one of them I can. He broke into the office, literally broke the lock off the office door. He broke into petty cash. He came to the office one time and demanded to be in, and he kept knocking on the door like he was going to break it down, like a little kid would. And yes, I was here for that.
Anything else?
No, he's very good. There's nothing else. Oh, there is another thing too. He had, he brought a gun and shot it in the pool.
Did you witness that?
When was that?
No, I asked you if you witnessed it.
No, I didn't witness it, but he told us about it.
If did you review documents in preparation for the deposition today?
Did I review documents?
Yes.
No, I know some of the stuff.
If you refer to documents during your deposition testimony, I'm going to ask that you tell us that. Are you aware of wrongful taking of association monies by Olson?
Yep.
Can you tell me about that?
Objection for narrative. Ask her specific questions, not tell me about it.
What wrongful taking of associations money by Olson are you aware of?
Money that he did not have approval to spend on things like cameras in the office. He put 3 cameras in that office that he was in. He put 1 camera in a small supplies room, very small. It didn't make any sense whatsoever. He's evidently scared that somebody's going to steal from him rather than him stealing from us. He bought things from iTunes, which I don't know why you need something from iTunes for the association.
Anything else?
Nothing that I can think of right now.
Do you know what items Mr. Olson purchased on iTunes?
No, I don't know anything about iTunes. I just know he purchased them.
And the cameras that he purchased, were those installed in the office at Sterling Green?
Yes, without approval.
Are you aware of any Sterling Green expenses that it incurred in 2019 as a result of Olson's misconduct during 2018?
Expenses I knew of in 2018.
I'll ask the question again. And I'll note I'm referring to 2 different years. And the question is this: are you aware of expenses that Sterling Green incurred in 2019 as a result of Olson's misconduct during 2018?
Objection form. Go ahead if you can answer the question.
Answer the question.
Yes, you can if you can.
The only thing I can remember right now is this guy, supposedly Patrick Key, getting $2,000 and have no idea where that went to.
And who did he pay $2,000?
Patrick Keys.
You know why he paid Patrick Keys $2,000?
No, no. Do you have your questions ready?
I do. Sterling Green alleges that Tom Olson made a series of bank withdrawals from a Sterling Green bank account. My question is, do you have knowledge as to the purposes of these withdrawals? By purposes, I mean the money that the withdrawn money was spent, the subjects or products or services that the withdrawn money was spent on.
He withdrew money like $5,000, sometimes $2,000 another time, etc. And there's no receipts showing that he did that.
Okay, I have to object to asked and answered. My question is, do you know what he spent that money on?
No, he stole it as far as I'm concerned.
You know who Joshua Williams is?
Yes,
Are you aware he completed an audit report for Sterling Green?
yes.
What are Mr. Williams' qualifications for performing an audit?
He's an accountant.
Is he employed by Sterling Green at present?
Only unnecessary,
I'm sorry, only what?
when necessary.
And what does he do for Sterling Green when he performs work for it?
Just, he's done our taxes.
Do you know whether the Sterling Green expenditures during the period of April through July 2018 were consistent with its expenditures during that same period in prior years?
Objection. You can answer it if you understand it.
I don't understand. I don't know.
I'll rephrase. Have you reviewed are you familiar with Sterling Green expenditures year over year?
No, could I be?
Are you aware of a Department of Labor complaint that was settled with Sterling Green while Tom Olson was on the board?
I'm aware of.
Have you reviewed any documents pertaining to the Department of Labor complaint?
No.
Do you have any knowledge as to the amounts paid by Sterling Green to either Unique Security or Seal Security?
I don't remember the amount. No.
Unique Security was terminated as the security contractor for Sterling Green in the spring of 2018. Did you have any experience with Unique Security before it was terminated?
Other than around my neighborhood, no.
Did you have any experience with Seal Security after it was hired as the security contractor in 2018?
Yes.
And what was that experience?
Coming home one day and three sealed cars is out there just talking up a storm. I even stopped asking what they were doing.
And what did they say?
Oh, we're just talking about something. That's all was said.
Did you have any complaints regarding the job performance of Seal Security while it was the security contractor for Sterling Green?
Yes, while I was in the I went up to a lady who was in the security, and she had been sitting there for 45 minutes. And I asked her when she was going to be moving, and she said, I'm at a break right now. And I told her she was there for over 45 minutes already. So I just left.
Do you have any other complaints regarding the job performance of Seal Security?
Yeah, just sitting around doing nothing. They've even parked in front of my house.
Sterling Green claims it was forced to pay attorney's fees to several attorneys due to the misconduct of Olson. One of those attorneys was named Zach Quang. What is the misconduct of Olson that caused Sterling Green to pay attorney's fees to Mr. Quang?
I don't know.
What's the misconduct of Mr. Olson that caused Sterling Green to have to pay attorney's fees to Susan Rice?
She was supposed to be HOA's attorney, and she ended up being Olson's attorney.
And what's the basis for that statement?
Well, if we went to court, she was always on his side. So what do you think?
Was there misconduct of Olson that caused Sterling Green to pay attorney's fees to Ms. Rice?
Yeah.
What was that misconduct?
Him not inappropriately giving money or using money or taking money, whatever.
Have you ever served as treasurer for Sterling Green?
Yes.
When did you serve as treasurer for Sterling Green?
August 2019 to February of 2020.
What are the job duties of the treasurer?
Pay bills, sign checks.
Does the treasurer oversee Sterling Green finances?
Of course.
While you were treasurer, did you review Sterling Green financial documents?
Yes,
What types of documents did you review?
the bank account.
Anything else?
Just keep it up in the account and paying the bills.
What is the misconduct of Mr. Olson that caused? Strike that. Before I get to that, how did your service as or your stint as the treasurer end?
My term was up.
How did the misconduct of Mr. Olson cause Sterling Green to be required to pay for the fees of attorney Chris Connery?
Of him appropriately spending money that wasn't approved.
And how did the misconduct of Olson cause Sterling Green to have to pay for the legal fees of attorney Tom Nixon?
I don't know.
How did the misconduct of Mr. Olson cause Sterling Green to have to pay the fees of receiver Eva Engelhardt?
He paid Eva. How could he do that?
Are you saying he paid her without the authority of the board?
Must have.
I have to object as non-responsive. How did the misconduct of Mr. Olson cause Sterling Green to have to pay funds to receiver Eva Engelhardt?
I don't know.
How did the misconduct of Mr. Olson cause Sterling Green to have to pay money to receiver Seth Kretzer?
I guess filing lawsuits.
Are you talking about the lawsuit filed against Dorothy MALVEAUX?
Yes,
Did you review the petition filed in that lawsuit?
yes.
Did you think what were the allegations in the petition?
Olson was saying that Dorothy had stolen money, which was untrue.
Did you conduct an investigation to determine whether Dorothy MALVEAUX had stolen money?
In checking in everything, Dorothy did not steal the money.
And I have to object as non-responsive. Did you conduct an investigation to ascertain whether Dorothy MALVEAUX stole money?
As far as what
I have to object as non-responsive. I'm just trying to find out if you conducted an investigation of whether Dorothy MALVEAUX stole money from Sterling Green.
we checked it ourselves. Yes,
And what did you do to check it?
finding out that somebody else years ago did that.
And did Sterling Green authorize Dorothy MALVEAUX to pay herself money from its bank account each month in addition to her salary?
I don't know.
Did you make any attempt to find out?
I'll check in.
I'm sorry, Mike, I have to object as non-responsive. Prior to today, did you make any attempt to find out whether Sterling Green authorized Dorothy MALVEAUX to pay herself money each month in addition to the amount she was paid for her work as a Sterling Green employee.
Hold on. I'm going to object and instruct you not to answer. That clearly doesn't have anything to do with this lawsuit.
Okay.
Well, the reason it has something to do with the lawsuit is because Sterling Green is seeking damages on the theory that the lawsuit he filed on Sterling Green's behalf against Ms. MALVEAUX was not warranted. It goes, and therefore the question of whether the lawsuit against her was warranted is a relevant issue. And the question seeks information that has a bearing on that issue.
Wasn't that case dismissed or resolved?
If I remember correctly, yes.
The fact remains Sterling Green is trying to recover money from Olson in connection with the filing of that lawsuit. And so the question of whether that lawsuit has merit remains a relevant question.
I still don't believe it's
Hold
relevant.
on, wait. I didn't get the rest of the statement because you interjected, Mr. Chesney. When y'all talk at the same time, it cuts the audio out.
So it's relevant to the issue of Sterling Green's damages.
Okay. Go ahead. I'll ask limited, and I may instruct her not to answer, but go ahead. If my understanding is the damages are because he filed a lawsuit without board authority, not the contents of the lawsuit.
Right, and affirmative defense in this case is that he acted in good faith. So as part of the affirmative defense.
You can't act in good faith if there was no board approval to bring a suit on behalf of the in the name of the association.
But whether there's board approval isn't the only issue, because what the relevant issues are.
When you talk to him, it cuts y'all's audio out, so I don't get what you're saying.
Okay. Relevant issues are raised by the affirmative defenses as well as the plaintiff's petition. And one of the affirmative defenses is that he acted in good faith with reasonable care and for the best interests of Sterling Green. And so the question is whether that lawsuit was filed in good faith with reasonable care and in the best interests of Sterling Green.
That is not an affirmative defense.
It is an affirmative defense.
I know what you put in your answer. That doesn't mean it's an affirmative defense. It doesn't exist.
It's a statute. The statute exists. And if for some reason the court determines later that the affirmative defense is inapplicable, the fact remains it is an affirmative defense that's on the current pleading of record of the defendant.
Okay, I don't care. I'm not going to let you ask her questions about a content of a lawsuit. That doesn't have relevance of where we're at or to your affirmative defense.
Explain why it doesn't have relevance to the affirmative defense.
Just because you say it's an affirmative defense doesn't make it.
The parties in a lawsuit get to assert affirmative defenses and pursue discovery on those defenses while they're part of their pleading. And so the fact that you think it is without merit doesn't prohibit us from seeking information that's relevant to that affirmative defense.
You don't get to make up what you believe is relevant.
No, but the pleadings determine what's relevant, and we get to assert defenses in our pleading, and that's one of the defenses we've asserted.
You said it was by statute. I surely got to know what statute you're talking about then.
It's been in our pleading of record for over a year.
Yes, we specially accepted to that.
So I can only refer you to the pleadings that are on file with the court.
Go ahead, Nancy.
You muted yourself, Mr. Chesney. You're still on mute.
Does somebody need to hold up a sign that? Okay.
I'm here, but I don't know where my picture went, so. Hey, I'm in deposition.
We can see you, Mr. Chesney.
Okay, I don't know what happened to my computer. Go ahead.
What is the misconduct of Mr. Olson that caused Sterling Green to be required to pay attorney's fees to Mitch Gattine?
Somebody who steals from you, what can you expect? I don't know.
Sterling Green seeks to recover damages for employment decisions made by Olson that it claims were not authorized by the Sterling Green Board of Directors. My question is, what are the employment decisions of Mr. Olson for which Sterling Green seeks to recover?
Objection form. You can answer to the extent you know.
Do what?
You can answer if you know the answer. I have to do objections for the record.
No, I don't know the answer.
Sterling Green seeks to recover $4,486.40 in connection with a loan obtained by Tom Olson from Andy Garza on behalf of Sterling Green. In its amended responses to requests for disclosure, Sterling Green states payment not yet incurred by Sterling Green, but legal liability remains outstanding, would not have been incurred but for Olson's misconduct. My question is, what misconduct of Olson resulted in it owing $4,486.40 to Andy Garza?
Objection form. Answer the question.
Answer that.
Okay, go ahead. No, I'm telling you, if you can answer the question, answer.
Okay, okay. Olson asked Andy for the money. Olson hasn't repaid it back, and it has nothing to do with Sterling Green.
Are you aware that Olson claims that money was used to pay employees during a period in which Dorothy MALVEAUX had made it impossible for the office to access funds so that employees could be paid?
Objection form.
That's a lie.
Why is it a lie?
Mainly because we were going to pay for the employees' paychecks. And Olson said that he'd take care of it.
And did he say this in writing, or did he say this, was this communicated orally?
This was in a text.
I'm sorry?
It was in a text.
And on what date was the text sent?
I don't remember.
To whom was the text sent?
The text was sent to all the employees at that time.
During July of 18, did you have any role with the management of Sterling Green?
No.
Sterling Green seeks to recover $2,000 for payments made to Patrick Keys in the second quarter of 2018. It claims that amount, that debt would not have been incurred but for Olson's misconduct. What misconduct on the part of Olson led to those payments?
Number one, who's Patrick Keys? We never did find that out, but $2,000 went to him. He never did tell us.
Okay, you know what that $2,000 was paid to Mr. Keys for?
That's what I'm saying. We don't know.
Sterling Green seeks to recover $960 for payments to Sarah Bass, allegedly made by Olson on its behalf, and it claims that that amount, that debt to Sarah Bass, would not have been incurred but for Olson's misconduct. What misconduct on the part of Olson led to that payment?
Why did he need Sarah Bass?
I have to object as non-responsive. I'm just asking what the misconduct is that led to that payment, if you know.
Okay, she didn't do anything.
Anything else?
No,
Did you attend meetings of the Sterling Green Board of Directors during the summer of 2019?
yes,
Were those meetings open to all Sterling Green members?
yes,
Did you witness Mr. Olson removed from a Sterling Green board meeting in August 2019?
yes.
Why was he removed from the meeting?
Well, for one thing, he was told that he was no longer president at that time. They had voted him off.
Any other reason?
Yeah, he got me back to the office.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
That's not nothing. That's not mine.
Were there any reasons Mr. Olson was removed from the August 2019 board meeting other than the fact that he was no longer president?
They just told him, they voted and they just told him that he was no longer president. But he continued to have keys to the office and continued to come into the office and continued to stay till 10:30, 11 o'clock at night in the office.
Are there any other reasons why Mr. Olson was removed from the August 2019 board meeting?
Let's see.
I'm sorry.
Nothing.
If you say something, ma'am, I have to take it down. So you either need to speak it out loud or not to speak it at all.
Okay. I don't know.
Did the board vote to have Mr. Olson removed from this meeting?
Yes, we did.
Did the members vote to have him removed?
No. Let's go a little faster.
Are you aware that section 209.002 of the Texas Property Code defines an owner as a person who holds record title to property in a residential subdivision and includes the personal representative of a person who holds record title to property in a residential subdivision?
Yes,
Are you aware that Tom Olson was the representative of Christine Garza, an owner at Sterling Green?
Objection form.
yes,
Did Mr. Olson have a right to be at that August 2019 meeting, either as a member of the board of directors or as a representative of an owner?
Objection form. Go ahead.
no. I don't think so.
Why?
Number one, I know we don't have it as, you have to be a homeowner, and that's the way it should be. And he takes over too much stuff. He thinks he's a know-it-all, and he's very intimidating to other people. And people think that he's really fantastic, and he's not.
Are all Sterling Green board meetings, with the exception of executive meetings, open to the owners?
Yes.
Which members of the board voted to remove Olson from the August 2019 meeting?
All of us.
And is that vote reflected in a document?
Minutes.
Did the board ever vote to remove Olson from the board?
Yes.
Are you aware that the members of Sterling Green can vote to remove a person from the board, but the board itself cannot?
Objection form calls for a legal conclusion,
Okay.
legal statement.
You can still answer if you know the answer.
No.
Did the board authorize Sharon Provost on that day in August 2019 to have law enforcement remove Olson?
I don't know.
Were you there at that meeting that day?
Yes.
Were members of Sterling Green present?
It's really funny.
I'm sorry.
I don't remember.
Were you ever furnished with the report of the audit prepared by Joshua Williams?
Say that again?
Were you ever provided the report of the audit?
Oh,
That was
yes.
conducted by Josh. When?
I don't know the exact. Whenever he was completed.
How did you receive the report? By email? Was it handed to you in person or other means?
He came by the office.
Did anyone ever tell you that Joshua Williams was a certified public accountant?
No.
To your knowledge, did Tom Olson ever object to the hiring of Mr. Williams to perform an audit?
I don't know.
Article 4, Section 5 of the Sterling Green bylaws authorizes the members to remove a member of the board of directors from the board. Was a vote of the members ever held at which a majority voted to remove Olson?
Objection. You can answer the question.
Majority. The board? Yes.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but my question was, did a majority of the members ever vote to remove Olson from the board?
No.
Did the board of directors ever authorize the performance of an audit by Joshua Williams?
Did they what?
Authorize the performance of an audit by Joshua Williams? In other words, did they authorize the hiring of Mr. Williams for the purpose of performing an audit?
The board, yes.
When did it do that?
I don't remember that either.
Were you on the board at the time?
Yes.
You have to sneeze.
Oh, yeah, okay, I'm all right.
What were his qualifications at the time he was hired to perform the audit?
He was an accountant.
And was a board meeting ever held that was attended by Mr. Williams at which he distributed copies of his report?
Yes.
You know the date of that meeting?
No.
Did Mr. Williams ever interview you or ask you questions in the course of performing his audit?
I just gave the information that we could.
I have to object as non-responsive. I'm asking about you individually. Did Mr. Williams ever interview you or ask you questions in the course of performing the audit?
Prior to the audit? Yes.
What did he ask you?
Objection form. Calls for a narrative. I'll instruct you not to answer the question. It's not a question. Just to say
Okay.
what I tell you.
I'm sorry. It's
Never
not a question.
Basis for instructing the witness to not answer the question?
It is an open-ended question calling for a narrative, and there's really not a question. So I'm instructing her not to attempt to answer that question.
How many questions did Mr. Williams ask you in the course of performing his audit that pertained to the audit?
I don't remember that. Gosh.
Do you recall any of them?
No.
What Sterling Green personnel did Mr. Williams work with in performing the audit?
I don't know.
What records were provided to Mr. Williams for the purpose of his audit?
We gave him bank statements.
Who determined which records to give Mr. Williams?
Who determined it? The whole board would.
And is that reflected in the minutes of a meeting of the board?
It's always, everything is in the minutes.
Was Mr. Williams given a spreadsheet prepared by Olson that identified expenses that were paid while he was on the board?
Gosh. You have a spreadsheet? No.
Did Mr. Williams have access to a scanned repository containing expense documents that was prepared by Mr. Olson?
We did have some.
Were those given to the auditor?
Yes.
Was Mr. Williams made aware that money was removed from the Sterling Green checking account with Wells Fargo by Dorothy MALVEAUX in mid-July 2018?
Yes.
Was Mr. Williams informed that there were two sets of books, an Excel file on tops, and two methods for handing out receipts, tops and a handwritten receipt book?
Objection form. What's the question?
I don't know.
Was Mr. Williams given the accounting ledger from the tops database?
I don't know.
The report of Mr. Williams that's been produced in discovery is dated June 26, 2019. Do you know if Sterling Green received the report in June 2019 or after June 2019?
I don't know.
Did Mr. Williams begin performing non-audit work for Sterling Green at some point?
Performing what?
Non-audit work such as relating to their taxes or other bookkeeping.
You're
tasks.
cutting out.
You are cutting out a little bit.
All right, I'll rephrase.
Repeat that.
Did Mr. Williams begin performing work other than work related to the audit for Sterling Green at some point?
No,
Did Mr. Williams interview Mr. Olson?
I don't know.
Were you aware that Ms. Provost had Mr. Olson arrested when he was on the Sterling Green property at the time of the March 2020 Board of Directors election?
Objection form assumes facts not into evidence, and I'll instruct you not to answer that question.
Okay.
You want to rephrase it, that's fine. Putting facts in, facts that are not in the record is not fine.
Was Mr. Olson arrested when he tried to attend the March 2020 Sterling Green Board of Directors election?
Yes,
Did you witness it?
yes.
Do you know, did someone associated with Sterling Green request that the police arrest Mr. Olson?
I don't know.
Do you know why he was arrested?
He wasn't listening to the officer.
What was the officer telling him?
I don't remember if it was to get in the car or leave or what.
Do you know what Mr. Olson was charged with?
No,
Did you observe Mr. Olson engage in threatening behavior on the day he was arrested at Sterling Green in March 2020?
no, other than him resisting.
What did he resist?
Well, just his hands, I guess.
Are you saying he appeared to be resisting arrest?
Or not enjoying the comfort of the handcuffs, maybe.
You know if he was charged with resisting arrest?
No,
Are you aware of any threatening behavior that Mr. Olson engaged in at Sterling Green prior to March 2020?
Objection form, but go ahead if what you recall.
other than what I told you, as far as him trying to get into the office and beating down the door, or trying to beat down the door.
Anything else?
Well, he was ordered by the judge to let us in the office so we could pay bills. And he wanted us to sign this resolution. I refused to sign the resolution and he asked us to leave. As I was there, I noticed that the dirty safe had nothing but liquor in it.
Anything else?
Shotgun
I'm sorry.
and or shooting in the pool, not shotgun, but shooting in the pool.
Did you witness shooting in the pool?
No. He told us about that.
What did he tell you?
He told that we were at a meeting and he said he shot the gun in the pool
Did he say why he shot the gun in the pool?
for ballistics. I don't know. He could have pool
You could have what?
damaged the pool.
My question is, did he say why he fired the weapon in the pool?
No, not that I remember.
Did Mr. Olson produce proxies when he tried to attend the March 2020 election?
Yes,
Did he claim that those proxies authorized him to attend the election?
Okay, I'm going to instruct you not to answer the question. We're not here on anything with regard to a March 2020 election. Nothing in the pleadings, nothing in the defensive pleadings. We're not going to
Okay.
talk about anything about March of 2020.
Well, it goes to the credibility and prejudice.
No, it
of
doesn't.
One of the plaintiff's witnesses.
Mr. Chesney, I can't get his full statement when you interrupt.
It goes to the credibility and prejudice of one of Sterling Green's witnesses.
It does not. I'm still instructing her not to answer it. Whether or not you think it goes to credibility has got nothing to do with it. There is the March 2020 annual election has nothing to do with plaintiff's suit and has nothing to do with defendant's suit or defendant's affirmative defenses. So I'm going to instruct her not to discuss or answer any questions regarding the 2020. You know there's another lawsuit pending. Have them ask those questions in that lawsuit. I know you're asking questions from your client's notes, which is evident because of the run-on questions. But we're not gonna, the deposition is not for the purpose of globally asking questions about every month of the year.
Well, the question only concerns March and the,
March 20.
they go to the questions go to the motives and the prejudice towards Mr. Olson of one of Sterling Green's employees.
That's an impossibility since it was March of 2020 and this lawsuit was filed well before that. It's a 2018 lawsuit. So no, it does not. You
Go ahead.
You can't manufacture it. You can't make it up. This lawsuit was filed in 2018 about facts regarding 2017 and 2018 and what may or may not have occurred at board meetings after that or of annual meetings 2 years later is not relevant. You have a duty to ask relevant questions.
Evidence bearing on the motive and prejudice of one of your witnesses does not have to come into existence only before the day you file suit. But
You're
I'll
wrong.
move on.
I'm not letting her, you go to the judge.
That's fine, Bill. Miss Pollack, my next question is the following. Can you identify any conduct on the part of Olson while he was on the Sterling Green Board of Directors that you believe was undertaken by him in bad faith?
Objection form. That is a legal standard in question. But to the extent you can answer what criminal things he did or what money he took, you're sure free to do so.
I'll repeat the question for
he
the
put
sake
himself on the bank account.
Putting himself on the bank account. Anything else?
He spent money without approval from a board or a quorum. He placed like cameras and other ugly looking safe, which was not needed in the office without any approval. He bought stuff, iPad, whatever, without approval. He bought software that's never been used, that was paid for by HOA. And he should never have been allowed on the bank account because he was the president. And only the treasurer or a secretary can be on the bank account.
Are you aware that there is a April 4, 2018 resolution that authorized Mr. Olson to sign Sterling Green checks?
That's what I said. He put himself on the bank account. It wasn't, he did not do it with approval. He can't be on the bank account. He's the president, or he was the president.
Okay, what prohibits the president from being, and when you say being on the bank account, do you mean a person who is authorized to make withdrawals from the bank account?
Yeah, you're not supposed to be on the bank account.
Okay, so my question is, what prohibits the president of the Sterling Green Board of Directors from receiving authority to make withdrawals from the Sterling Green bank account?
He wasn't authorized to be on there. Did he have a board that said he could be on there?
I see. So you're saying, when you say the reason he wasn't permitted to do that was because a majority of the 5-person board did not authorize it. Is that?
That's correct.
What is a, you know what a quorum is?
A quorum?
Yeah.
Yes.
What's a quorum of Sterling Green's Board of Directors?
Well, we have 5 people in the board. Quorum could be 4 to 1, 3 to 2,
What's the minimum number for a quorum?
3.
And can a majority of a quorum, would a majority of a quorum then be 2?
Only if the third person didn't want to be in it.
Okay. Could two directors at a meeting in which there are 3 directors in attendance authorize Mr. Olson to have access to the checking account?
2 to 3, yes.
Okay. And with regard to the,
Oh,
strike that.
Yeah.
Can you identify any conduct on the part of Olson?
Ma'am, I didn't.
sorry.
I'll start over. Can you identify any conduct on the part of Olson while he was on the Sterling Green Board of Directors that you believe was undertaken by him without reasonable care?
Objection form. You're just changing one word in a question that she's already been asked. Do you have any different answer, ma'am, to that question?
No. That's,
If I understand correctly, if you're saying, are you saying that you're giving the same answer to the question about acts that were undertaken by Olson without reasonable care that you did in response to the question about acts undertaken by him in bad faith?
yes.
Okay. And this question is similar to the previous 2. Conduct on the part of Olson while he was on the board of directors that you believe was not in the best interests of Sterling Green. Would your answer to this question about actions of Olson that were not in the best interest be the same as your response to the questions of acts by Olson that were undertaken without reasonable care and in bad faith?
Objection form, go ahead, Ms. Pollack.
Yes.
Okay.
We've been going over an hour. When you get to a good breaking point, can we take a quick break?
Yes, why don't we do that now? I'm almost done, by the way.